Good evening, my friends. Excuse me, travelers from near and far. Even our friend from Chicago traveled this far in spirit, not in persona. So, welcome to all. Of course, our work is about the mystery and the magic of the star tetrahedron, a formulation of power and light. It is of consciousness and light. And we'll be talking tonight a little bit about how consciousness and light come together to create. The beauty of the star tetrahedron is as it spins, the aspect of power, triangulation above, and the divine feminine of love beneath. As it rapidly spins in all directions, if you've ever seen images of an electron, the atom is whirling every which way you can imagine. Well, in the same way, the star tetrahedron is moving in all those different ways at light speed, and it then creates, rather than a triangulation of energy, it creates literally a globe of light around us. Now, the globe of light is composed of facets, and so when we look at this particular image, it's a faceted image. But if you have enough facets, it finally creates a globe. And if you were to spin those facets very rapidly or quickly, of course, then it creates the image of a globe. And so each of us is a globe of energy. The globe of energy, of course, is that first iteration is the aura, which is emanation of the 7 chakras, the rainbow colors of manifestation within form. As we begin to balance and align all of the chakras and bring them back into perfect harmony, they become unified in the star tetrahedron, which is the Christ field, which is then power and love unified, which then becomes simply creator energy, no longer within the more human form and learning from the human of the 7 chakras. By emanating energy out from the 7 chakras, we move to the open doorway within the very center of the star tetrahedron, where the void, spirit, exists, and we are then summoning and calling void into the breath of life. It then comes literally from inside out. It touches the facets of the super rapidly spinning star tetrahedron. And in the image of the star tetrahedron that is the sun, it is simply the brilliance of the emanation of light. For a human being, as we manifest and create the star tetrahedron, we then are becoming creator beings within form. And so as we open the doorway back into the void, we are then illuminating images within the void. The void is the repository with all creation existing within it. And as the star tetrahedron is turning, the mind is then illuminating choices of creation within the void. It creates a mirror off of it, from out of the realms of the unseen to the faceted rotation of the star tetrahedron, the Christ field. It holographically creates that into form. And then a very fine particle of substance that we call the eoma, it then precipitates form around it. And so then we have the manifestation of life into form. But all creation begins in its origination from light. So in the beginning, there was the void, just the void. And there was a yearning for the void to know, well, what am I? And in that yearning, that question, what am I? It created then light. And that light was then the light of the Christ field. It was the unity of light. And then the unity of light that was the Christ field was then able to appear back into the void and then begin to illuminate creation out of it. But it all began, you see, from light. So if I once again take this faceted form here, and I do shine a light through it, my light comes on, there it is. It's really not maybe so bright. I guess there's more of the image of it. You can see it on the screen. I see it reflecting back. So if I take the one light and I shine it through all these faceted forms, it then creates the rainbow array of colors all around it. And so everything that we see in creation is from the one light. Only the one light exists. But the one light was then able to shine through the prismatic form of the star tetrahedron. And then the one light then refracted into the light of creation, which is then the 7 colors of the rainbow from yellow, orange, green, blue, indigo, violet, amethyst. And so each one of those rays of energy, you see, went forth as pure light in, again, many, many eons ago. And each of those then moving through another facet of another iteration, you might say, of the star tetrahedron, another creator being was able to take that particular color, that individuated color, shine it through the prismatic form that was that creator being. And so then we have the 7 rays of the rainbow creating the 7 waves of manifestation from the very origin of creation. But every one of those iterations that came forth into manifestation now came from the one light. And so everything is made of light. It simply is in a frequency that has been slowed down. And we who then exist within physical form, the mind, brain, if you will, through the 5 senses, we then perceive what is happening with the light all around us through the feelings, the ideas that we hold within us. And so if we're looking at a pure light, but we're looking through a blue glass, the light will appear blue. If we're looking at the light through a pink glass, the light will then appear pink. And when we then move to the colors that are emotions, if we're looking through a gray glass, a gray fog, the light would then seem gray, and then we would experience sadness and grief. The same with the maroon reds. If we're looking through the maroon reds, because it's within our field, we're then perceiving the one light of creation as red, which is anger and frustration. But it's not what is really happening out there. Everything is already pure light. It's been refracted and slowed down, but then it's our perceptions that then perceive what we're looking at. Which is why when we begin to change our perceptions and we begin to change our consciousness, moving from the consciousness of fear and worry and frustration and the lower emotions, and then we begin to move upward in the chakras to the heart, and we begin to experience love. Well, we then begin to see and feel the world that's more loving. But it's really that we are inviting and feeling those things coming to us. It's the same when we move into the 5th chakra of creativity. We're now moving to a place of creative joy. And because we're now looking through the glass of creative joy, we experience things that have a reflection, an emanation of more creative joy outwardly. And when we move to the brow chakra and begin to truly hone and refine the light so that the light of the mind is now perfectly silent, which is the true aspect of power. When the mind is perfectly silent, then we create nothing but, you see, light within the mind. And the pure light then shining through the creativity of this pure turquoise blue within us, it creates then an even more powerful emanation of creativity. And we're holding the light steady upon the feeling of love within the heart. And shining that light very clearly, it then creates even greater reflections of love and peace and joy around us. And so the one light that we're seeing out there is also a creation of the one light within us that we are emanating light through as a particular tone or quality, the pinks or the blues or the amethyst of spirituality. And as we then begin to refine the crown chakra at the top of the head and really begin to allow the light of the soul, which is the essence of the Christ field, it is power and love unified. It is the perfection of the being that you already are. You see, we're not looking perfection. We're not trying to find perfection. It's not some quality out there or over here that you can then grasp and bring to you. You can see reflections of it because you ignite the reflection of perfection within. And so this is what the star tetrahedron is. It is the power of the mind in the purity of love that we have established within. We so love ourselves and love who we are that we're no longer carrying the darker colors of gray or the darker colors of dark blue, where we're seeing and feeling fear in the world or worry or frustration or anger. Those things no longer exist for us. We can observe that those things are happening in the world, that may be playing upon the stage of this particular place, but we aren't really being bothered by it. We send compassion and great understanding to those situations because we know it is simply light working out its way to finally find ways to so love and honor itself that awakens back into what it also already is, which is the light. And so light only exists in creation. And as we then move to this knowing, you see, of the star tetrahedron and the Christ field, the light of the mind is so established in love within us. We're now created this beautiful form around us. And this form moves with such rapidity, the facets, that it opens the sacred doorway within us, within the heart chakra. And we then begin to illuminate the choices of our creation. And so then we're no longer, you see, working with the reflections of the world and what other people are creating as their reality. We become creator beings. And this is the new paradigm that we're moving into. From out of the old paradigm of manipulation and control and wanting and desiring to the new paradigm of so powerfully loving myself that I shine light upon that which is love, which is source, which is light, and I'm shining light upon the light I love. I then see it and feel it in the choices of creation that I choose. It reflects out into the star tetrahedron and becomes the holographic world I actually begin to create. The loaves, the fish, the creation. So this is why you see in the future we won't have food shortages. We won't have problems with gas and oil and resources. We will be at a place in our consciousness where we will become creator beings, the Christ field creator. And what will we be creating with? Light. We will be summoning the pure light of source. We will bring it forth and holographically image it because it's fun and interesting to image light into form and to create new possibilities of light becoming. But we know that we are simply the light creators now, creating more artistic scenes, more artistic canvases, more artistic things that we then play with. And we play with them in peace and in joy and in happiness. So this is the new paradigm, and this is the beauty of our work with the star tetrahedron. As we practice the star tetrahedron, it becomes something that becomes a very strong image, a strong feeling. And so this is a very important part of our, if you will, meditation, our spiritual work, is to find the time where we can really focus the light of the mind, begin to bring it silent, begin to image and feel the star tetrahedron, see and feel the doorway open, and we know with our breath work that we'll be doing here shortly, that with the breath, we literally summon spirit from out of the open doorway. We then see the reflection or the image we would choose to create. Spirit gives it life. We then see it holographically around us, and it becomes informed. So the beauty of our work together. So one of the very important parts, of course, of this is the breath work, because when the open doorway is now established within us, and it's the open doorway into the void where this breath of spirit and all creation exists, it's our breath. You see, breath is the spirit of life. And so as we are breathing in, we're actually bringing spirit into this dimension. The star tetrahedron and the image that we hold in reflection then gives it life. And so we then become creator beings, bringing mind and spirit and body together into creation. In the breath work, we call it the Soham breath because on the in breath, with what we call the Ujjayi breath, we're holding the head just a little bit back and the chin down. And as we're breathing in, it can create a subtle constriction in the throat. So this is the sound of the So. But as we're breathing in oxygen, more importantly, we feel from the open doorway, we are imagining and feeling the breath of spirit arising forth from within us. And as we then hold for a couple of counts, and with a gentle exhale, this is the hum, the Soham breath, we're observing and watching the breath become liquid, living, golden light. We imagine it and feel it just like the physical sun. I am the light. We come back to a place of silence for a minute. Once again, back to the open doorway, summoning the breath of creation, the breath of spirit, holding it, gentle exhale, light emanation. And as we're allowing this light emanation to happen within us, we're not efforting it, we're not trying. It simply is the byproduct of breathing in and breathing out. But as we simply imagine how we would choose to feel the spirit, it becomes that. And so that is the consciousness that gives form to the breath of spirit. So let's do the Soham breath for about 5 minutes. Again, very deep belly breathing. We're allowing the diaphragm to go down to really bring in the deep, deep breath, holding for a couple of counts and allowing liquid, living golden light to filter through all the cells and tissues of the body, igniting the body of light that is the true light within us, flowing out into the world as the gift of creation. I will join with you. I enjoy doing the breath with eyes open, so let's do 5 minutes of Soham breath. And another deep, slow breath of spirit. And then allowing yourself to slowly come back. When we're doing the breath work, we're calling in the purity of spirit. And in that purity, as we simply exhale and let go, because the pure light is now within and moving as an emanation through it, what we are doing, you see, we're not trying to change the body. We're not trying to make the difference in the body. We're simply seeing and feeling the light that we're emanating, that is acknowledging and feeling the pure light that is within. Because once again, only light exists in creation. It can be slowed down into a vibration that we can then perceive it as matter or materiality, but even that is light at a slowed down frequency. And then we can, with the mind, perceive that it hurts or it's an error or there's something wrong with it, which then fixes that within light. But beneath it, you see, there is still the purity of what the original body creation is, pure spirit light. And so we're not trying to change, we're not trying to make it different. We are simply loving and acknowledging the light that emanates from the pure source that we are, loving and acknowledging the pure light that is the true body that already exists, the perfection of the soul that already exists. And so it's not an efforting, and it's not a trying, it's simply a being. So that's what spirituality is. It's being the light that we already are and able to acknowledge and then feel that. So as we practice the star tetrahedron meditation together, it of course then creates the ignition of light amongst each one of us to be a more dynamic focus of light for all of us. And so this is the beauty of coming together in meditation, because as we're creating this light activation around us, we have dissolved the forms of separation. You are no longer there. I am no longer here. This person is no longer over there. When we move to light activation, we are in oneness once again. And so if I am meditating and you are meditating and you are meditating, we are already gathered together, increasing the radiance of each and every one of us. So it's no separation within the light. As we're doing the star tetrahedron meditation, once again, it is moving in all directions. But to facilitate your understanding of that, you may see the upper triangulation moving left to right. You may see the lower triangulation moving right to left. Whatever feels comfortable for you. But over time, you'll begin to realize that just like an electron, it is moving at light speed in all directions, up and down, back and forth, in and out, and it creates this great ball of light around you that is the star tetrahedron of the sunlight being you are. And as the star tetrahedron is then turning, it then opens the vortex, this magic doorway within you. You now are hovering at the doorway of the void. As Christ Jesus said, I am the doorway. And as you are then hovering there, you are then summoning spirit to rise forth as breath. You then feel it as liquid, living, golden light flowing from you. This is the magnification of the light of all of us as one unified field. So I'm going to take you through the formulation of the star tetrahedron. And we will meditate for about 30 or 35 minutes, all joined together in one unified field. So we close the eyes and feel the body relaxing, letting go. The breath work has already relaxed the body. It feels honored, supported, and loved. And we recognize that the breath is summoning spirit. Within the very center of the heart chakra, there is an open doorway. We bring our attention between the eyebrows. We imagine that we could draw a line straight back. And within the approximate center point of the head, we ignite the light of the soul. The pure and perfect golden light of the soul. You can imagine the sun shining brightly. This is the very same light of the soul. And as we hold attention here, we feel the light increasing. Light filling the mind and filling the brain with the perfection of the soul I am. We focus the light to the heart chakra at the sternum and we illuminate imagination. We illuminate the star tetrahedron. Whatever size you choose that feels comfortable. The upper triangulation is of divine power, the focusing of light and attention. The lower triangulation of divine love. Together creating the star tetrahedron, the Christ field. And as it turns, it opens the sacred doorway within you, back into the void from which you originally emerged as spirit. The origination of light to even begin creation. I am the light, acknowledging that which I am. The body is light, I am light. All creation is the light I am in the joy of creation. Let's sit quietly together and I will join with you and we will ignite every one of us into the magnificence of the light. And very easily now, slowly coming back into the now. The light activation that we are doing, once again, there's no effort or trying. It's just acknowledging and feeling what is already existing. It's like the breath. You don't have to try and breathe. It's just an automatic function. And this is the way that we assemble the star tetrahedron. We simply imagine it and see it. And over time, the imagination and the light of the mind then illuminate what is already existing, the star tetrahedron. We're letting go of our ideas of separation, of our humanness, and then stepping more into our human divine acknowledgement. And as we're doing that, the light is then emanating from us. We are then able to acknowledge the light around us. The light exists within everything simultaneously. And so even though the illusion out there may look tragic or difficult, may look like war, may look like poverty, it is at its depth really light. And as we acknowledge the light that is the very core, that's what compassion is. Compassion is actually seeing, acknowledging, and feeling the one light of spirit, of source that lives beneath the illusions of separation. And as we are doing that, because we've acknowledged and felt the light that exists within some imagine or some form out there, it vibrates that purity within. And as it vibrates it within them, then those things begin to acknowledge it from inside out. So we're not, again, trying to change things outwardly. We're not trying to change the body. We're simply acknowledging with the light the perfection that already exists. And as we see it, feel it, and then in our imagination of our spiritual meditation, we become it. So I want to thank you for joining with us once again. Very beautiful gathering of light tonight. And so thank you very much. We'll see you again in about 2 weeks. And in the meantime, enjoy the spring. It is upon us. Go out and plant your garden. Thank you, my friends, and great blessings.